Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. Happy Friday morning to everybody out there. I'm recording from a drizzly and humid Newport, Rhode Island, and I've got a video today. Pretty interesting stuff here. Nick Viall lays out the groundworks for his wedding, and he says no age gap jokes, okay? No making fun of the fact that we had a baby before we got married. It's all very reasonable stuff. Of course, the celebrity news title says Nick Viall wants to avoid jokes at Natalie Joy wedding after Joe and Serena's nuptials, which is technically true, but it's all said in good fun. I'm going to share that clip with you guys and also make one more show note for you. Yesterday, I made this video. Katie Thurston calls out massive podcast fraud, and it's going to be a story we talk about for a long time. There's podcasters that got defrauded by a podcast network. It's very interesting. It's very inside baseball as far as the conversation around the conversation, the people that make content and how the business around that is done. If you didn't check out that video, I'm going to encourage you to watch it after this one I'm currently showing you. And I mention that because YouTube's very interesting. You'd think that if you're a subscriber, you get all my content, and that's not always the case. You have to remember, even though I'm over here on vacation for my brother's wedding, I'm still bringing content to you guys every single day during the week. There is video, there is a podcast every single day. This is the analytics of my channel. Some people like to see this type of stuff, and we'll get to the Nick Viall piece in a second here. 50%, half of the audience is not subscribed to my channel. You still get to see my content because YouTube's really good with its algorithm. So if you've clicked on my channel or if my channel has been showed to you, you might even think you're subscribed. I'm pleading with you, please double check and subscribe. And not only subscribe, hit the little alert bell so that you actually get the notification when I have a new video. If a video doesn't get a certain percentage of clicks, they don't show it to my full audience. So this video, while very interesting, trust me, it's very fascinating stuff. If it's not as shock-worthy as what, Joe and Serena said at their altar, it's not going to get seen by as many people. YouTube's just not going to show it to you because you're not a subscriber. And if you are a subscriber, they still might not show it to you. So you have to make sure you come out and check the YouTube page and search my name and see what content is out because it's going to be there every day. So often people go, hey, Dave, I haven't heard from you in a while. Ding, ding, ding. Newsflash. I am here. You are not. Okay, so let's get into it. Here is what Nick had to say regarding going to Joe and Serena's wedding and his upcoming wedding. As we know, his girlfriend, his fiance, Natalie, is pregnant, but they got pregnant before they have a wedding date set.
Well, you just married two people.
I did.
You
full of love.
Created a union of love.
But if we're being honest, they are already married.
No, which Natalie and I have talked about the possibility of wedding each other
at the courthouse
but
prior
really,
to the birth of our daughter.
Because on her birth certificate, it will say that I gave birth to her out of wedlock.
That she was born in sin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that true, Allie?
Yes, this is what I've been
like
told.
If people aren't married,
wait, it says
I
wedlock.
don't know if it says wedlock.
Will the birth certificate say bastard?
When a birth parent or other parent are not married to each other, the law says the birth parent and the other parent must complete a VDOP or get a court order.
All right, so paperwork. You got to do extra paperwork if you're not married. And a lot of people do that. They'll just go down to the courthouse and get married. And then, for my wedding, we got married in Mexico, and we actually decided to not do the courthouse wedding first. And it was actually way more complicated. We had to get our blood, and people don't believe this, we had to get our blood taken before our wedding, which I think was just a way for them to shake down more money from us. But we had to go get an officiant in Mexico, get things, certified and all these types of things. If we had a kid on the way or something like that, it might have been just easier to go to the courthouse, have a witness, and get married like Joe and Serena did. Joe and Serena did it, obviously, because it's an international marriage, Serena being from Canada. Here we have Nick and Natalie from the U.S. They had no reason to get married beforehand. There's no rush for any other reason other than maybe they want to have that on the birth certificate.
Be in an airplane.
Yes.
Well, after going to Joe and Serena's first-class wedding, just truly exceptional. I will say, though, that there were a lot of jokes about them already being married.
Yes.
Which I would love to avoid if we did that.
Yeah.
I don't know if there were more jokes about them already being married or the age gap between Joe and Serena.
Which I never knew that was a thing.
I didn't think so either.
Right, so Joe is 11 years older than Serena. We can talk about age gap all day long. I specifically don't mention it with Nick and Natalie, and I specifically didn't mention it with, well, I guess I did mention it with Andrew Spencer and his new girlfriend. Andrew's 28, his girlfriend's 20, because they're all legal consenting adults. People can judge that all they want, but it's just one of those things. Nick's a lot older than Natalie, 18-year age difference. To some people, they think that's creepy. To others, they go, I was 22. I met my husband. He was 98. What do I, like, whatever, you know what I mean? But, with Andrew Spencer, like I said, he's 28, she's 20. And people go, well, she's basically 19. Whenever anyone says basically, they're just trying to prove your gender. You're basically saying this. I'm basically telling you the facts. You're basically doing this. So they go, well, she's basically 19. He's almost 30. They're basically 58 years apart. It's like, good golly, come on. But it's funny here with Nick because he has been known, and he'll be the first to tell you that if there's an article he doesn't like this headline, it's Nick wants to avoid jokes at Natalie Joy's wedding, he would probably find a way to reach out to Shelby and be like, can you change that article title? That's really misleading. Or, if it's unflattering. And I don't blame him for that. It's just a personality type. Like if we were to refresh this button here, wouldn't that be crazy if the title was changed? It's not. It's kind of like a harmless thing there. But obviously, it's a point of annoyance, I guess we should put it, that they have an age gap. It's like, yeah, they have a big age gap. They considered not even dating in the optics because she's a lot younger. But she's having a child. They're getting married. Like, at what point do we make fun of him and do we just say, hey, they must have found themselves? Maybe it took longer for him to find the one he needed, but the cynicism online. Oh, she's going to learn that, once she ages out, he's going to need something younger, and there's always something. It's like where you just project, because I get it. I get the trope when guys go after younger women. I totally understand that. But like, what are we supposed to do? I think we need to embrace their happiness and just wish them well. And I get people, whenever I criticize people, they go, oh, Dave, you're a hater of so-and-so. Not true at all. I would get along absolutely fine with Nick. Absolutely fine. Probably could be good friends if that were the case. Not a problem at all. He's just one of the biggest names in Bachelor. So is the magnifying glass on him a little bit longer than on somebody else? Absolutely. Like, no offense to Wells, but and Wells is a bad example because he's actually pretty big in the Bachelor world too. But it's like there's certain people in the Bachelor world, like Tino Franco. We love Tino, but like Tino's a little under the radar. He doesn't have his own show. He's not out in front of the camera, So of course we're gonna comment on Nick. He's one of the top dogs.
Yeah. It's just like, holy shit! I can't.
Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of those.
They're 11 years.
I feel like Joe and Serena walked so I could say, don't fucking do that at my wedding.
Yeah.
So Joe and Serena are 11 years apart. If you take that and then add on a doctorate degree, I think 7 years is a doctorate degree. Maybe you're, I'm a PhD and I've been in school for 9 years. I don't know. Chill out, Teresa. Just kidding. But it's hard to find a name that doesn't offend people. But yeah, they're a full 7 years more than 11. They are a full legal adult age gap, 18.
Well, so the problem that Joe and Serena had was they got caught coming out of the courthouse by paparazzi. So it became
so fucking
public.
Famous, yeah.
Yeah, they're so...
Oh, my God.
And by the way, that's not true at all. So if we go, that might be true, but if we look at Joe and Serena wedding, and I just searched my name with it, clearly... We have literal footage of them. We did a breaking news story.
Ladies and gentlemen of Bachelor Nation,
clearly
September, but who doesn't want to get married
they
twice?
posted that they got married. I mean, did they post it because they got caught? There they are kissing. She said
Ladies
yes.
and gentlemen, we can officially announce Joe and Serena, that's her name, right? Are married.
So that was a full 10 months ago. So yeah, I mean, obviously doing it in front of your family is going to be super emotional. It's semantics, really. I mean, it's paperwork. It's just the idea of uniting all of your family and being together. So good on them for not just redoing it, but doing it in a way that people could share in that love. But yeah, by all means, it wasn't a secret. They posted the video.
So everyone knew, right? And then so before you get married, whoever's marrying you, you get together and you talk about like everything. So I was like, is it known like amongst your family and friends that like you guys are already married? And they were like, yes, everyone knows like this is really a pretend wedding. And I was like, okay, then we can.
You don't use the word pretend. Use the word ceremonial. Like, this wasn't a pretend orgasm. This was a ceremonial orgasm.
Lean into that.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like, during all the speeches, it was just nonstop. Joe is an old fuck, and Serena is young,
like a child bride. Like, it was like,
and I look at them. I'm like, they're kind of like the same age to me.
I was like, yes, Serena's way more mature than Joe.
So true.
And people are still mad at Joe for the way he handled Bachelor in Paradise. Of course, he was kind of part of the bully gang. He was like part of the gang that didn't want people to be there for the wrong reasons. I'm sure if you looked at it now from several years later, you'd understand he was under stress like everybody else and handled it in a way that wasn't the best way. And I'm sure if he met with the people that he ran out, I believe it was, I'm trying to remember the names of who it was, Chris and Alana, that I'm sure they'd be like, hey, sorry if we came off extra aggressive. Now, that conversation probably should have happened on air or whatever, but I think overall Joe is liked because I think he's a good guy. He's a normal guy. He's not going to say everything right. He's not going to fit every ideology people want out there. But I'll tell you what. If I could tell you anything from being at this family wedding that I'm at, which by the way, I'll talk more about it on today's podcast. We had a raccoon sighting last night. Now you're not going to get. This is this is going to have to be something that I share. That's a video I took right there. So so we had raccoons come after us because the food was so good. So I placed a video on the chair and then we went inside and I let it run for 40 minutes and then I went outside and there's a raccoon licking my phone. So do I have rabies on my phone? We disinfected it. Either way, the point being is that my family has every ideology across the political spectrum. Strong left, hard right, everybody in between. And Joe's probably that type. He comes from like a probably industrial Midwest. I don't know. My point being is that we judge people so harshly for who they are and for where they come from. And maybe he's a nice guy. And regardless of what I say, there's going to be comments online just that hate in different angles, and I know that's going to exist. And I was having a conversation last night with some family, and sure enough, the family I don't agree with politically also didn't agree with me on my thoughts on Meghan Markle. The same family, there's just people that consume different knowledge, and when you get together as a family, you can make several decisions. You can choose to fight, or you can choose to repair whatever division we got from being online. Because when you're online, you're going to divide, and when you're in person, it's a little bit nicer. So I'm very happy to report there's been no fighting within my family. And anyway, I just had to say that about Joe because there are going to be comments. He's bad this, he's bad that. And it's like, I think he's trying the best. I think Serena seems like a nice person, and together they make quite a nice little couple.
Yeah, it was also just a truly great, lovely wedding.
Joe also kissed her before you said to kiss.
Oh, that was hilarious.
I almost had a panic attack.
Natalie goes, oh no!
Yeah. So did I. Yeah. I said, no. And then Joe goes, what, am I not supposed to do that? And you're like, have you ever been to a wedding?
Yeah, like, what?
But it was so Joe. It
Totally.
was so beautifully Joe. For anyone who doesn't know, we're talking about Joe and Serena were giving each other their vows.
Yeah.
And
after they finished,
Joe did his speech,
yeah,
and, very Joe-ish, and then got done and was like kind of so proud of himself.
Like, I love you, baby.
And he went, I love you, baby, and leaned in for a kiss, and Nellie screams, no!
Yeah. I feel like everyone was like, yeah.
But I actually kind of love that he did that because it was very Joey.
Totally.
In the best possible way.
Well, and then I say, I know you guys are already married, but come on, we're almost there. It was funny because so beforehand, they came to me and they're like, I needed to know the nuts and bolts of everything, right? So I was like, so who's going first in terms of vows? And they were like going back and forth. And I was like, well, who's going to kill? Like, who's going to be funnier? And Joe's like, I'm going to be funnier. I was like, okay, then Serena should go first because you never want to follow someone that kills, right? So she went first. And after her, thing, which was really heartfelt.
I actually disagree. I think the humor should go first and then sentimental after. I think the humor breaks the ice that lets the guard down for sentimental, but that's just me. What do I know?
And beautiful. I thought for sure they were going to kiss, and I was like ready for it.
Yeah.
And then Joe opens up with his joke, and I was like, okay, this is me yuck, so like whatever. And then at the end, he's like, I love you, baby, and then goes in for a kiss, and I was like, I wasn't ready for that.
That joke was so good. And it's so funny because we ran into them in the hotel, like the first day we got, like the Friday before. And he was like, I have told the videographer to make a reel of my vows because they're so killer. They're so good.
I mean, I don't know if they're that good. It was perfectly fine. Again, I'm not trying to be tough on Joe. I mean, it was a good joke here. So we'll just go to, if you didn't see it already, it's a pretty quick one. Just a standard misdirect is what it's called. He paints a story of one thing and then he switches it around and it becomes something else. That's what a misdirect is. So if we go to his wedding vows here, is this it? No, that's not it. That's him doing maybe. Here it is. Here's his wedding vows.
We're walking down to the beaches of paradise, very pessimistic. I even told myself, just leave this place single. But as soon as I hit the sand, I was a nervous wreck. I started losing it. I was anxious, straight panic. And then, there you were. Brown eyes, beautiful smile, curly hair. I took a deep breath. I walked over to you and said, Walls, I'm so happy you're here.
Okay, so very, it was funny. By all means, not give him credit. It was a funny bit. All right. Anyway, so let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up on that. I mean, look, it's Joe and for Nick to not want those jokes. He's saying it obviously as a joke. Now he's saying, "Oh, come on, let's not do it." But yeah, I mean, there's just a certain theme to your wedding that you want. I didn't have. My wedding was great, but I didn't have some wild speech planned. We actually didn't even have a groomsman. We didn't have best men, best woman. We didn't have whatever the bridal party. We went to a wedding a couple years ago. There was 12, and this is, maybe you guys can attest to this. When you get married young, you have all these friends from college still. The older you are when you get married, the less friends you have. That's just how it is. Next thing you know, you're like 50 years old being like, can anyone help me move? No, they can't. We're not working for free pizza anymore. You got to pay for that shit. But we went to this wedding, and they had 12 bridesmaids and 12 groomsmen. I was like, is this a fucking football game here? What are you guys going to do with all these people? But there's different. So for my wedding, we didn't have any of that. It was like, here we are. Everyone who attended the wedding is part of our family. There is no special ranking. We had a communist wedding. We all, this is a socialist wedding. Everybody gets a piece of cake. We all get a same slice of the cake. Whatever. That's my, But we had a good time, and but we had friends give speeches, and they were perfectly fine. Sure, was the guy's speech a little? Both speeches were very funny, but usually what happens is the best man gives a speech that roasts the groom, and then the bride. And this is gonna sound sexist, but then the bridesmaid gives a speech, and she's crying, and it's this sentimental thing, and it's like, you were my best friend. Remember that time? Tennis? Some random inside joke that no one gets. We're all like, tennis? Did you blow a guy in a tennis court or whatever? You know what I mean? Did you strike? Did you ace her? But either way, it's funny because you go to enough weddings and you see themes that play out, and you go, I don't want that to happen. I don't want that. I would love this. And then you kind of slowly put it together. And Nick's done or will be doing just that, and we will be covering it. All right, more content coming your way. As I said before, if you haven't already, make sure to check out this video. It'll be up next. Katie Thurston calling out massive podcast fraud. We're going to get to the bottom of it. It's ugly. It's juicy. We'll be back with more after this.